3, 2, 1. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the pilot episode of the Law Student Podcast. My name is Dean, and I am a Bachelor of Laws, Bachelor of Business student, 4th year, and I am the Director of Communications here at the Society up in Nathan. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Elly Thomas, who is our President, our Honourable Leader of the Law Society up here in Nathan, as well as India Johnson, who is our Vice President up here.
And fantastic as well.
And fantastic as well.
Okay, thank you.
Elly, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Thank you, Dean. Thank you for that warm introduction. My name is Elly. I'm the President of the Law Society here in Brisbane at Griffith. I'm originally from Cairns, so I moved down to Brisbane all on my own, away from my family, to pursue my law degree. I'm currently in my 3rd year doing a Bachelor of Law and International Business. Being the president and being in law school has really made me realise that I am definitely a people person. I love bringing everyone together, and I think you two can probably agree with me when I say, regardless of what year level you are, you need someone there to help you get through this degree, because while you do get one certificate at the end of your degree, it's a group assignment till the end.
Yeah, literally the whole thing all the way.
Yeah.
You need that.
India.
Well, as Dean just said, hello, I'm India. I am in my 3rd year here at Griffith, studying a dual degree of laws and arts. I've been involved in goals since 2019, and yeah, I'll echo what Elly said as well. It's definitely so important to just have a really good support network, and I just remember being so grateful when I came into uni and I had that from goals. So I guess I kind of look at this as like a way of sort of re-giving what I had. So I'm very excited to be the Vice President this year, and really excited to be on this podcast.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, guys, today we're going to talk about basically, say you're a 1st year, or say maybe you're a 2nd year now and your 1st year was at home due to COVID. We want to talk about how to kill it at university, how to not necessarily get the best grades, but how to make the most of your 4, 5, 6 years here at Griffith. Personally, I think it's important to chill out. I'm sure you guys are the same in your 1st year. It's very stressful. You want to do all your readings. You want to do everything. You want to, be a QC by July. You want to just kill it. But it's important to chill out. And I think if you chill out and sort of let it come naturally, I think it does. Whether it is if you try and force it like anything in life, it might not. I think it's very important to sort of try and not stay stressed and try and pipe down those nerves in your 1st year and sort of realise that things aren't going to go perfectly. It's more likely that they don't rather than they do. That's normal for things to not go perfectly.
Exactly.
And there are going to be, those awkward moments. For example, this was only last year, that I walked into I was late for a contracts or a constitutional tute, and walked in. I was late, 10 minutes late. Only seats were left up the front. Walked up the front. I opened up my laptop, started taking notes, and went, wait a second, what is she talking about? Why are they talking about placements? We don't do placements in law school. And it sort of dawned on me like a bucket of water just pouring over me, like, oh, I'm in a medical tute.
No.
I need to get out of here.
That is good.
But I was at the front, so how do you get out of a medical tute at the front?
That is really embarrassing for you.
I had to sheepishly pack up everything and run out the back. But
I hope you never have to see them ever again, any of those
I
people.
would have just stood up and said, guys, I'm a law student,
Just owned it. Guys, so if you ever need any contract drafting or med neg stuff,
Yeah.
Medical negligence.
I really don't think I can top that. That's pretty good. That is a good one.
It's funny, isn't it? We think of all these stories that we've done or friends have done that are embarrassing, and you think at the time it's the worst thing ever to happen.
And it's just you. You think it's only I would do this. But it's
And I think you can apply that to a lot of things in law school. You think that you're stressed out about something in particular. I remember, and I still did it until my 2nd year, before I went into a tutorial, I would check my schedule about 15 times to make sure it was the right room.
And to make sure that you didn't do what Dean did.
But, at the end of the day, no one really cares.
No,
they're just
exactly.
there to do their degree, and if something funny happens, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah, and it happens to everyone at one time or another. Sometimes more than others, myself included. But it happens to everyone else.
Exactly, and I think even with assessment, you think that you're the only one that doesn't understand something. You think you're the only one that doesn't get it. You think you're the only one that's stressed. And then you have a chat to a few people, which kind of builds on what Dean had started off saying about how important, like, ways that you can chill out at uni. And I think that having that support network, which is what Ellie and I both touched on, is so important, because when you start talking to people, you're like, okay, so like none of us understand this. Like, let's work together. Let's do some readings together. Let's share our knowledge. You know, and it makes it so much easier. So that's so important.
I think it definitely all comes back to your support network
100%.
and having that there, because there is definitely a stigma in law school that grades are everything and you need to be perfect if you want to get a good clerkship at a top tier firm or a judge's associate with a Supreme Court judge. There is so high expectations on everyone to just get straight sevens and high distinction in everything, but that's just not the way that it is.
I was just going to say as well, I think there's a lot of, like, stigma around everyone being really competitive, which is true. We all are competitive, but it's definitely healthy competition that, you know, motivates us all. But I think as well as that healthy competition and being a bit competitive, it's like there is so much teamwork as well. Like, in the best way, in the least academic collusion way. Like, we're all just here to help each other and share notes. And, you know, there are some parts of a class that you understand that other people don't, and vice versa. And if you have that support network, which goes back to what we were all saying at the start, you know, it makes law school so much easier. And I actually remember my mum saying to me, like, in first year, she's like, you just got to treat, like, making friends as, like, a whole subject on itself, because it is hard work to meet new people. And the way that I did that was, you know, I forced myself to go to everything. Like, I understand there's some issues, that's what with COVID and everything made it harder. We didn't have some events, and also with age as well. I was lucky that I was 18, but I went to the pub crawl, which is where I met Ellie. I went to the law ball. I went to, like, everything to meet friends and build that network really early on. And so I really do, like, feel really sad for the people that had to miss out on that due to COVID, but it is never too late to start immersing yourself in everything. And I know we'll talk more about our events and everything coming up at the end of the podcast as well, but it's so important to get involved early on so that you have that support network, because it will save your degree. Like, it will it'll make you have a uni experience for sure. Yeah.
It's funny that you mention how your mum was saying it's almost a subject in itself.
Yeah.
I remember, obviously, I was living on my own in a one-bedroom apartment, and I didn't have any friends, and I thought, oh, I'll buy, like, the pub crawl ticket and I'll go along and see how it goes. So I bought it about a week in advance, and then it got to the day and I had my outfit, my 90s outfit, and I put it on and I just looked in the mirror and I said, no, I'm not doing this. Like, this is too much. Took it off, got into my pajamas, got on my couch, was sitting there, and then I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
like,
you've got to...
I did this for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Exactly. So I got back in my 90s outfit. I went to the pub crawl, and I met my bestest friends at law school.
Yeah, we met everyone that we know today. Not everyone that we know today, but we met... And I had a similar situation before the law ball. I literally had a mental breakdown. I was like, why am I in uni? I should have taken a gap year. I should have gone to Europe. I should have, like, not done this. Like, this is horrible. Massive mental breakdown. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and have fun. And I had a great time as well. And obviously I'd met you guys all before, but it was like, yeah, I think you've really got to put yourself out of your comfort zone when it comes to these things, and I think you'll find that it really does pay off.
And even at the least, even if you're struggling with, say, week 4 content of XYZ class, and it's sometimes just so nice to go up to someone and say, do you get it? And they go, no. It's just so nice to have someone else
to hear that.
To vouch. It's like, oh, great, I'm not by myself.
Yeah, that was me with the Consti assignment we had last week, and Ellie, we were all like, we don't get it. Like, we are having trouble. And it was just nice. I mean, it would have been helpful if they knew so they could help me, but it was just nice to hear that we were all in the same boat, we were all confused, and we all could work together and figure out what the assignment wanted us to do, for example. Yeah.
So, good segue into, so what do we think our basic tips? So if a first year walked in here right now and said, guys, what do I do to have a good time at uni? What are our tips for that?
I mean, you've definitely got two sides to that answer. You've got the making friends, networking, support side, which then helps with your academic side. So I think everything starts, I know we keep saying it over and over again like a broken record, but everything starts with just good friends and a good network around you. So obviously when you come into law school, you don't have any friends who study law unless you do from school or whatever like that. But I think it's really important to go to your classes. I know pre-COVID it was a big thing to go and sit in your class and meet friends that way. with Zoom and everything, it made it really, really difficult, even as someone who already has friends at law school. But I think post-COVID, now that we're getting back into classes and tutorials, to go in and just sit with someone random and just say, how are you going? You know, where are you from? And just ask those basic questions. The best thing about being a law student is that everyone loves being a law student. Everyone loves telling you they're a law student. Everyone loves talking about it. So there you go, bang. The first thing you have in common is you're both law students, and you probably both love being law students. So that's the easiest way to make a friend, is just start talking about law.
And there's definitely like a little bit of like, we're like a little club at uni, like we'll be the ones in the library. Not that no one else goes to the library, but like we'll be the ones in the library at like, 2 a.m. and it's like all out. You can tell who's got the massive textbooks and like all the cases on the floor, like and like you
empty mother cans
and all the like V and what Red Bull. I don't like them.
Just the top of the hat at 2 a.m.
Or like you just know. You just know, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's just nice. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like you do have something in common because you're all here for the same reason. You all want to get the most out of your degree. No matter where you've come from, what your background is, like you all have the same end goal. Whether or not that's to be a lawyer, but whether it's like you do want to get your degree, like that's your end goal. So it's nice to find like-minded people in that regard, for sure.
And just coming off your comment about being in the library at 2 a.m., sleep is really important.
Yes.
As well. I'm going to be the mum and say, sleep, you can't get enough of it.
No.
Whether you are up to your head in books, you do need a good night's sleep, because waking up refreshed from a good 8-hour night's sleep, you will have so much more clarity around what you're doing. And I just can't stress enough. Sleep has been one of the things that I've learned personally. I'm in my 3rd year and I still haven't got the grasp of it, but a good night's sleep, you can do anything.
I feel like a hypocrite talking about this because I definitely don't sleep enough. But I think that goes along with everything. Just looking after yourself, I think, is something that's really, people don't think about it. But you need to, again, like look at that as a, that is a full-time subject, is looking after yourself physically, mentally, because what will happen is you will burn out and then you will it just won't be pretty. So you need to really be thinking about that now. Sleeping enough, eating well, and enough, exercising,
keeping social,
not locking yourself in friends. And I just remember like having all these like memories back to like during exam, when we had the take-home exams, I would sit at my desk, not eating or drinking or sleeping for like 48 hours, non-stop, and it was horrible. Like, I mean, I came out and I was like a ghost. Like, it was not healthy. And I think it's, like, it's, if you need to get a 6 and look after yourself, like, you need to do that over getting straight 7s and not looking after yourself. And I think that's something that you will learn through the first couple of years of your degree. And I guess touching briefly on going back to the whole first year thing, you're allowed to mess up in first year because you're learning about that balance. Like, first year is not going to be perfect. And I think that's something that I wish I'd heard as well back in first year. Like, first year is your experimental year. You need to figure out that balance, how much of what you need, how much of this you need in order to really find like a good, and you'll still keep learning that. Like I'm still learning that. Yeah. At least we're all still learning that. So
I think I think the trade-off isn't necessarily that. I think personally that they're interlinked. I think sleep, exercise and eating well are interlinked with 7s. I mean, I agree. Yeah, I think you're better off, studying 8 hours a day when you've had 8 hours rest than studying, 14 hours with 2 hours sleep every day.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
It's just night and day. And it's like, and it's not necessarily, I didn't sleep, so I had to get that 6. I think,
Oh, yeah, of course. I guess, I should not do that. I ripped the thing off. No, I guess I wasn't really clear when I said that, but 100% agree with that. And I guess that also then comes with, like, time management and thinking ahead, planning your study. I mean, this is all stuff that you guys all know. But it's just, like, hearing it from people that have, learned the hard way. It's always nice.
And I think it's important to make the best out of your opportunities at uni. Study smarter, not harder. One thing I wish I did, I wish I went to lecturers' visitation hours earlier.
Oh, true.
I wish I went to PASS earlier,
especially
in first
was so
year.
Good. PASS saved me.
For those who don't know, PASS is your peer
assisted study sessions.
Yeah, so you go along and a student who's done really well in the class actually runs you through the content and helps you with any questions. And it's nice because it's an environment where you're not intimidated because it's not a lecturer or a tutor, which you shouldn't be anyways, but you are in first year, that's without a doubt. It's just a student who you can talk to and helps you through it, and you're there with other like-minded people who want to learn the content a little bit better as well. So that's what passes as well.
Yeah, super beneficial. And I guess the other thing, as Elly just mentioned, like you obviously shouldn't be scared to approach your lecturer and your tutor, but obviously you are in first year. But I will just say from experience, they are so much more approachable, and they actually like it when you go and ask them questions. Even if you think it's a stupid question. I remember going up and asking a question that I should have known in week 1 and like week 4, and there was no judgment, there was I didn't feel bad. They just appreciate that you are engaging in the course content enough to be able to ask questions. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. I know that's like such a classic line.
Cliche,
But really, I think in our studies here at Griffith and in law, like, you'll find that the tutors will never think of you negatively for asking a question, even if you're in week 6 and you say, well, what is a contract in contracts? Like, it's something that it's just, they will appreciate you asking that question just as much as you'll appreciate getting an answer on that.
And I suppose tips in general just for studying as well. Planning, I think, has been my biggest enemy. Just coming from high school, obviously you are just told what to do, and you get like your weekly planner of what we're doing this session, and this is your homework, and it's a week-to-week thing. At university, they give you the whole 12 weeks of what you're doing, and they do teach it week by week, but they also expect that you know what you're coming into. They expect you to do your readings, they expect you to prepare and plan, and that is going to help so much with your degree as well, because you are preempting what you're going to be learning that week, so you already kind of have an understanding, and I wish I had known that earlier in my degree for sure.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's all about being on the right foot from week 1. And planning, I personally use a Google Calendar, and at week 1 I will write out every single piece of assessment I have, every single class I have, every single, birthday party, social event, competition, everything I have to do in those 4 months and already. So I'm 12 weeks ahead. So you don't get to week 6 and there's an assignment due Monday, week 7, you go, oh, I haven't touched that yet. Or at least it's there. You're not surprised by it.
That's a big thing. Yeah, try and avoid surprises with your studies, because they'll give you a reason to stress and stay up all night and then not sleep, which is not good. So,
One thing that I've done, which has been really good, is I like to make things colourful and look really pretty, and I absolutely hate taking notes. I hate taking notes because they're so boring. It's just a white piece of paper with black writing on it in Times New Roman, font size 12. It's just so boring, and I can't enjoy that particular situation in my life. But what I've done is, with your cases, put them in a colourful box, make a contents page, make a title page for your notes, make it enjoyable. So for me personally, as someone who likes being creative, doing that allows me to look forward to writing my notes every week, which is something I thought I would never ever say, but I thoroughly enjoy editing them, and while you're in the process of making them look good, you're also learning the content, because you have to read it to figure out what parts need what colours. So if you're someone like me who likes being creative and doesn't like boring things, making your notes creative is a really good tip from me.
See, I'm at the complete other end of the spectrum. I get a big brief, and then I just pack it full of everything I know, and I just end up throwing stuff out, and But it's all about, and that's the hardest part, it's about finding what works with you.
Yeah, that is the hardest part, actually.
Yeah.
I still, I'm figuring, I'm in my 3rd year, and I remember in high school being by grade 12, I'll, know what works really well for me, and that didn't happen. So I'm still in my 3rd year, and I'm still finding new tricks that work for me. The other thing that I do, super random, but I have this thing on my computer where you can have it read back to you. It's like a... You just put it in your settings, and then I just go Command T and it reads it back. Because one thing that I hate doing is editing assignments. I've just spent days and days and weeks working on this. I don't want to read it all back now. So I just highlight it all, Command T it. It's in your settings somewhere, and I have it read back to me. So I can, and then when someone else is reading it to you, it's a computer voice, but when something's reading it back to you, you can then pick up on any grammatical or things that don't sound quite right. So that's something that I use.
That's a really good tip.
Which is really useful,
Another thing that would be useful for is I know personally when I started writing with legal writing, I tried to fluff it up and use these big legal words and make it sound really fancy so no one could really understand what I'm saying. But the trick is to make it so clear that your 97-year-old grandma who's never been to uni can understand what you're saying. I think that is possibly tied with my top tip for law school is make your writing so clear and easy to read.
Yeah, that is something that I think we all make that mistake of. You try and sound smarter than it needs to, and in reality, if you think about it, if you want to practice law, you're going to be writing to clients who probably don't know the law at all, so it needs to be understood by someone who has never heard of what a tort is. You know what I mean? It needs to be so simple, and less is more if you think of it like that. So that's such an important tip as well. But I think we all made that mistake in first year of sort of trying to be write like lawyers, but writing like lawyers just means writing in plain simple English so that anyone can understand it.
Or like the word aforementioned, as I aforementioned.
That is so unnecessary.
Isn't that word?
Yeah. I think that's the big thing, and not trying to act smarter than you are, because it might be great to have a page full of big words that are 4 syllables long and blah 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 blah, but if you don't know what any of those words mean, why are you putting them in your assignment?
The other thing too is I used to do this actually, I don't know when, probably in first year, or maybe in school, I don't know, and I used to like not even know what the word meant myself. I just used to find like synonyms and stuff, and I was like, it's really obvious when you're writing something and you don't even know what the words mean, because you're obviously using them in the wrong context as well.
Exactly. So guys, to wrap us up, how does goals help with all this? How does goals come into this equation?
I feel like goals has helped me, and I'm probably biased because I'm the president, but in all honesty, through my first, second, even third year now, goals has helped me in every aspect of my law school without me even knowing, down to networking, how to talk to your lecturer. You know, we have networking events that teach you how to talk to people, and it gets you comfortable in that situation of talking to the unknown and asking questions that are outside of your comfort zone. And before law school, I was very scared to go up to people and meet new people, and the networking events have definitely helped in that sense. And social events, of course, as well.
Just echoing what Elly said, I think goals is a really great way for you to just do everything that we just said without really having to think about it, in regards to, we have an abundance of social events. So we've got our law ball coming up on the 15th of May, which again, a really great way for you to meet people, have fun, relax, de-stress. We've got our pub crawl next trimester, and a bunch of other events as well. We've also got social sport, which is another great way for you to meet people, but also look after your mental and physical health by just getting a bit of exercise. And then we've got as well a bunch of law competitions. I don't know if Elly wants to touch on those a little bit, but essentially they are so important in regards to just helping you take everything that you learn in the classroom and then like use it practically, and understand if, you know, maybe being a solicitor is something that you'd be interested in, or being a barrister, or not practicing at all. Like, it just gives you a bit of a taste as to what the industry's like. So we've got a number of competitions coming up. Some have already happened, but I don't know if Elly wants to touch on those a little bit.
All of the competition information is available on our goals website as well, but
and
we
Facebook
do
as well.
In our Facebook, but we do the 4 competitions. So we do the witness examination, we do the client interview, we do the moot, and we do negotiation. So moot is like your mock trial. In contracts 2, you have to do a moot for your assessment. So one thing that I did was I did the junior moot competition before the actual assessment, and I aced the assessment.
It was like a practice round then.
I knew exactly what to do. Funnily enough, just speaking of what we do at Goals, is we do lots of like clerkship seminars and practical legal training seminars. And in my first year, I just wanted to come to every Goals event. I was like, I want to be at everything. I don't care what age level it's for. So I went and sat like front row at this PLT seminar, and I'm like listening. I'm like, what's a PLT? Like, what is this all about? Had no idea you had to then go and study an extra course after your law degree to be admitted as a lawyer. And I'm sitting up the front and I'm so engaged. And this guy could tell I was like so excited. And he was like, oh, so like, are you in your final year? Like, you're looking at PLT? And I said, oh no, I'm in my first year. And he kind of looked at me like, oh gosh, we've got one of those students here, you know, like I was just way too excited. But going to all of the events, you learn more about your law school experience than the actual content itself. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes on outside of just learning what a tort is and what negligence is, and
Well, that's the
you know.
thing. Yeah, if you're gonna practice law, and even if you don't practice law and you just use it as a degree up your sleeve, you've got to really know how to interact with clients, talk to a judge, interact with the council, and the competitions will teach you that, not the classroom content. You know what I mean? And I think in PLT as well, you do touch on this stuff as well. I don't know, I'm not doing PLT yet, but I think it's really good then for you to do all these competitions, and then you can ace your PLT, which teaches you how to interact with clients, and then you're prepared for the real world. And again, competitions are a great way to meet people and network, and that's so important, as we've really made clear, I think.
Yeah.
And I think above all, Goals has allowed me to meet people of all age groups, from mature age students, school leavers, penultimate year, law students. I have so many friends across so many different year levels, which it's not only great because you've got all of these friends, but in your career you're going to come across certain legal issues which you're not going to be practicing. For example, criminal law, I don't have interest in practicing in that area, but I may come across an issue where I need someone who is in that specialized area, and I'll just call up my friend who I met through law school. So above all, Girls has certainly allowed me just an open door to lots of these different connections and friends who you will keep forever in the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of practicing lawyers and whatnot, they all have friends from law school still, and they all be like, I went to law school with him, I'll recommend him. And it's just like, it's so important to keep those connections. I think that's good point. It's understated in a way, just how important those connections are and how they last you a lifetime as well.
Yeah.
It's something you don't think about in your first year, but as I'm getting older, I'm realizing the importance of all of these little things that make up your law school experience, how they're not only good for your mental well-being in law school and having friends, but it's going to exceed for so many years to come, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, so in sum, give everything a go, but don't be too hard on yourself.
Exactly.
And sleep.
And
Sleep, exercise,
Sleep.
drink water.
Drink water, eat well, eat green.
well,
Eat yogurt.
party every now and then, balance. Balance is important.
Go to all the girls' events.
Go to all the girls' events, go to your lectures and your tutorials and your past sessions.
Yeah, one extra thing, if you are a Griffith Law student listening to this, which I'm assuming you are, please don't hesitate to come up to any of the Girls members who you hear on the podcast.
Yes, for sure.
Connect with us on LinkedIn.
Come to the office hours.
Come to the office hours.
Add us on LinkedIn.
Send me an email.
Come to office hours. What? Someone know the room that we're in? Girls' office is open from 11 to 2. What room number is
We're in the
this?
law building on the bottom level.
The room is on the Girls website, www.girls.org.
Okay, because we don't actually know the room number off the top of our heads.
You'll
But
see it.
yeah,
Usually it's
you'll
where
see
most
it.
of the noise is. Just follow the noise.
Yeah, exactly. And add us all on your various platforms.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Enlighten us, all the listeners, with your knowledge. And thank you very much for watching, and see you next time on the Law Student Podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.